Today, we're getting the insights from game studio Hexonine Games, founded by three Canadian brothers. Welcome. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm the middle brother. My name is Ahmed. I handle business development and external outreach, pretty much most of the things that don't involve direct production. And I'm here to represent my brothers in your chat today.
Excellent. So, how long have you guys been a game studio?
Well, officially, we've been incorporated since early 2024, so I would say November 2023. But we began our journey when I saw my older brother coding by himself in the living room, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm working on a game," and I was like, "Okay, then let me help you out," and that's where we started. But pretty much that's where we began 2 years ago, 1.5 years.
At this point, how many games have you released?
We started off with a test project. We released only one actual game, and our game was very tiny. It's one level. Mohammed was getting the ins and outs of what he needs to do in Unreal Engine, and as you know, most studios they make their first project kind of a gauging thing. So we decided to test our capabilities with just the first project, and now we're focusing on building our second episode. So our first game was called Soulscape: Shadows of the Past. It's on Steam if you want to try it out. And our actual flagship project is going to be episode 2, which is including more turn-based mechanics, more items, more levels. But in the beginning, we're all people who came from different industries. We don't have background in game dev. So we wanted to gauge the market by making our first project kind of a test run.
So, is the second part it just an extension, or is it going to be kind of a new style of game too?
The story, we want it to be an extension. We want the story to be a continuation. But in terms of gameplay, we added turn-based combat because in the first game, it was just a point-and-click indie. So you just go around figuring out why the main protagonist was trying to be assassinated. So he's disoriented. He finds his way around the house and he leaves. Just one level. We wanted to test our abilities with that one. The second game is actually going to have 3 to 5 levels, point-and-click, some turn-based gameplay. So we are actually focusing more and more on turn-based combat because we love JRPGs and we want to do our own.
That's cool. So,
Thank
it's
you.
kind of a cyberpunk sci-fi setting, is that right?
Correct. You're on the right track.
Can you tell more about the story there?
Yes. So the story begins around our agent, whose name is Blake Turner, and he used to work for a nefarious organization called Cyberpulse. They make robotic defensive systems, and basically androids for personal protection. And the timeline of the story is in the near future. As you can see right now, we're having our own android issues, and people are freaking out about AI. So it's a whole thing. So we figured we would create something in the near future that has a company that makes androids. And this guy used to work for them doing their nefarious means. And then they tried to kill him because they don't want him anymore. So, like anyone who's been laid off, kind of thing, terminated, he's facing his issues. And during all of this, he has a demon in his mind that haunts him, kind of our own take on mental health issues, because we all have negative thoughts, dark places. And, there's a demon in his mind that keeps whispering to him to do bad stuff. And we were thinking that this will be our own shtick added to it while he's facing his moral issues and dilemmas. And we were thinking of adding a couple of fun elements, like there's a fun old school 80s musician. His name is Tim Capello. We saw him in the movie The Lost Boys. And we loved that movie. I never seen it before, so my wife showed me that, and I was like, "What is that?" So we saw him. We're like, "Okay, he has to go in." So our bard is actually inspired by that guy. So we have little elements. So our game is 4 people party. It's a JRPG. It's a sci-fi setting, modern. First level is just you're gonna be in an office, figuring out your way, finding a couple of clues. You're gonna battle a couple of androids, and then you're going to take it from there. You're going to level up and find your way through the means of what this bad corporation wants. And I think nowadays everybody's wary of corporations, so we figured that would be the theme of of where we take our franchise.
You said 4-player party. Is it a single player game or is it actually
Sorry, I
multi?
meant for protagonist. I apologize.
Okay.
Yes. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me. So we like games that are single player because most of us are story oriented gamers. I know there's a lot of attention in the market for live operation games and all that, but we love games that are story oriented because they can take you on a journey and it allows the team to be invested in the project emotionally. So from art, from programming, they're all in it because of a story that they're all feeling connected to. So that's why we focused on this kind of production as opposed to something that's like fast paced. But that doesn't mean we're not planning on it in the future, but we're just starting our studio with something we're familiar with.
I think a lot of people like the single player games, and it feels like it's gaining a lot of popularity.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what drives that. Do you have any thoughts there?
Well, I'll give you an example for myself. I grew up with a JRPG called Suikoden 2. I was a child. I was in Iraq, so I can't even speak English. And the game takes you on another world. It takes you on an adventure. So you're escaping from the ugly reality. So all of us as children have some sort of escapism in storytelling and narrative design. So when you're an adult, you kind of wanted that escape. So the more believable the world is, the more adults will be attracted to that escapism aspect of it. And I'm the first to say, if a piece of art doesn't move me as a dev, then how am I expecting it to move the others?
Do you have a planned release date in mind for this next part?
We were initially anticipating release by the end of the year. We're still planning on it, but our demo test build is going to be in 2 months. We are planning on having a community release for demo in the end of June, so fingers crossed for that.
Is that going to be like a beta release or an
Yes,
early access?
yes, early access.
How have you been dealing with playtesters? Have you been getting people involved even in like a closed beta or anything to get feedback?
Well, the only people that have officially tested are team members and friends of team members. We haven't had external outreach yet until we release our official Discord, and then we plan on getting everybody in and getting more feedback. But so far, very minimal testing, very close. We don't want to share something that we're not ready to share yet.
How about with the first game? When you released it, did you get a lot of feedback or make a lot of changes after you released it?
We actually now here's another thing. The first game we admit that we should have had more testing and obviously more feedback, but it's the first game. I'm not gonna say it's the best game ever, but the idea is that every time we receive feedback, we fix it. You can check how many patches and builds we've been going since release. I think we've released it in April 2024, and we've been patching it ever since till February of this year. So we've been continuously patching and having updates, and every time people tell us, hey, something glitching, something bugged, we check this. But so far, we are running with one senior guy who's doing everything: animations, programming, game design, and he's a one man army. But I can't ask of Big Brother so much.
With the game, are there any unique mechanics or anything that make it stand out?
Yes, we're focusing more on the emotional storytelling that we want everybody to be involved with. So, for example, in similar, well, I won't say similar, but we are inspired by games like Mass Effect and Baldur's Gate and all that with the emotional aspect, where you have a character that can romance, for example, another character. Our innovative design ideas that the romance options or the dialogue options, they can be influenced by the party members as opposed to just your own character being the center of attention and everybody else kind of being a side. So with ours, you could have a companion, pick a romance option with the person you're talking to, kind of complex, makes the story a little bit more complex, adds more depth to it. And we believe that mixing the sci-fi genre with the JRPG elements is going to be something that's new and people might try to figure out, but it's actually something that's untried before.
So it sounds like there's a bit of replayability with the game too.
We're hoping to have a couple of paths that people will try out, and then once you try it out, then you have to check it out again for new armor. Like if you choose the bad, well, not bad, but the demon is going to whisper some evil thoughts in your mind, and if you pick the dark side, you're going to have dark armor and everything. So it will encourage some sort of replayability based on some sort of armor collection and story elements that you want to check out.
How much of the design did you do up front? Did you have like a big game design document, or how did you approach that?
Uh, it depends on the situation. So if it's something that we are scared of, we don't progress far without finalizing the design document fully. But if it's like, for example, a dialogue cutscene, and we don't need to have a very detailed, solid design document for Muhammad, for example, to execute, then the plan gets updated while he's executing in parallel. It depends on the tasks. So some tasks are critical. You need to plan them very carefully ahead of time before you do something, or else you're gonna have to do back and forth. Don't
So,
ask me for examples.
so the design still evolves quite a bit as you're making the game.
Yes, I hate it because I love that when we decide on a plan, that's it. But then team meetings happen, and everyone has beautiful ideas, and they they outvote me. So so I can't say anything. Yeah.
How many people work on the game? I mean, I know you bring on some contractors, is that right?
Yes, we have a couple of contractors that we're working on a revenue sharing basis. We have a couple of family friends that are volunteering out of the kindness of their hearts, and we have actual family members who are co-founders that I'm hoping that I can get them all paid. So the idea is that whoever works outside of the family with us gets pulled into the family, and now we're like, I would say we're 10, because we have a couple of people who are working on different ideas, but I wouldn't say they're working on this project. So 10 people minimum for sure working on this project between voice actors, Muhammad and myself, planning, writers. So yeah, at least 10.
So speaking of funding, it's all just self-funded. Have you tried a Kickstarter or anything like that?
Well, I have mentioned that idea a couple of times, and then a couple of marketing experts have advised that you need to build the community first. Though I'm trying to approach it a little bit more maturely. I don't want to get excited and try for the Kickstarter yet. We haven't unleashed a single Kickstarter campaign yet, but I'm hoping to tell our story a little bit first to the community before I try to ask for something. So hoping that with a nice trailer, a nice demo, the community can see something that they can back. That's our plan for a Kickstarter.
Do you use any assets from the marketplaces, or are people building everything from scratch?
I wish I can lie to you and say everything is built from scratch, but we're a small studio and we buy stuff and we modify. We get anything if something is free, we have to modify it. But the idea is if we can create something in house without slowing ourselves down, I'm all for it. But at the same time, we are competing with a lot of bigger studios and a lot of bigger teams. I'm sure you understand. So we do pay for some assets and we have to modify them because we have some crazy high quality experience. Like for example, Mohammed, my big brother, he's very strict on quality. He's our quality director. So sometimes I reduce quality and he gets upset. So he's our guy for the quality and he decides whether something has to be scrapped away, something has to be kept in. I trust his opinion on some matters. But yeah, I've seen him purchase something, edit it, and use it because it's the only way available. Or because sometimes you have to change the story itself to make it work, right? Like you're either you change the story or you change your production. It's one way or the other.
Are there any types of assets that you're typically getting? Is it like 3D models or?
Yes, yes. So obviously we love spaceships. Just as a personal preference, like we love spaceships assets, and we just stare at them for a while. But for our project, also science fiction assets, cyberpunk assets. But realistically, we are. I shouldn't. I am still going to say this because you're a nice guy and you're the first to talk to us. So I would say that we are working on other projects that are more medieval, and we are interested in that kind of assets as well. But right now, with the main flagship project, we are focusing on modern assets. So cars, whatever, buildings, furniture. Yeah, whatever we can work with, we do. Whatever we can find, we find and edit. But at the end of the day, if you edit something and everybody else is using it, then it's a matter of who's implementing it better, because then the consumer is going to see a bunch of assets that are the same.
I don't think there's anything wrong with using assets, and I think most gamers don't care and wouldn't even know anyway. So
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to me that you said that. Thank you.
I think what a lot of people these days would object to is AI stuff, um, and mostly
Let's
around the
touch on
art.
this subject. Yes, good subject. Okay, tell me your thoughts, because you've been having discussions on it. So, what do you think?
Well, I think there's a place for it, and for small game developers, I personally, I don't feel totally against AI art and music and stuff.
Okay.
Um, I think that's where a lot of people do have a problem with it, though,
Okay.
is using AI art. But I think people object a lot less to using AI for other things in the workflow, like
Okay.
debugging, having trying to fix
So,
something in your game
programming,
engine.
a
Yeah,
machine language kind of thing. I
yeah.
100% agree with you, John. Like, first of all, let's start with music. I personally think that AI music is garbage. I, as a listener, cannot handle the kind of music that comes out of the AI. So, for example, I'm listening to something, I can't handle music from AI. So, obviously, we shouldn't put it on a game, for example. If it's good, whatever. But for now, as a consumer, I'm just discussing it as a consumer. So, um, paintings, you know how it is. Like, even if the AI painting is good, let's talk about the stories. I, for example, have been blessed that I have a brilliant team of writers. So, for example, our creative vision should be what dictates all kinds of ideas. The AI shouldn't be telling you any ideas, any sort of creativity in terms of writing. Second, in terms of images and portraits, now you can have, if you, here's the deal, if you can afford a human, you should. That's how it should be. If you can pay a human being to give you high quality products that are artistic, I think you should. And that should be the norm. Right now, people are promoting this out of desperation, right? But it should be always the priority to the human artist, because they're going to give you something of higher quality. So in terms of programming, yeah, 100% agree with you. But in terms of music, for example, a lot of the time, like, there's some AI music that is really bad. And in terms of paintings and stuff, like, yeah, it can draw, but it can't draw as good as some of the people that are like you see, right? So it's still a long way to go. But right now they're using it to do repetitive tasks, right? So you don't want to do something repetitive. It can be used to organize, admin, right? Admin is boring. Nobody wants to do admin work. So AI can help in admin, but creativity should come from our own human struggle. You're an artist. You can teach me subjects on this. But I feel like when I hear something that an artist creates, it hits me on an emotional level, and then as a human, I'm like, okay, I'm obligated to give this human time and money because they connected with me on some sort of level that the AI can't. Sorry if that was weird.
No, it's good. I think it's interesting because so many people have such a wide range of feelings on it.
Yes.
Um, I think one thing most people agree on, though, is even though AI art can look really good, like you said, it doesn't hit you the same way as even a low quality piece of art that somebody else made. You don't appreciate it as much because it doesn't take the time and the effort and the skill and the thought and all of that.
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's the same with music, with a story, with I don't know, like art, whichever one you call it. So obviously, companies don't want to use AI if they can get the humans, but some people promote the AI because they think it's the new technology, and they think that they're pushing technology. That's the aspect that they're approaching it from. But for example, for my squad, I want to make sure that, for example, the voice actors are protected. So, like, AI right now, sometimes they steal the voices of people, right? So for me, I had to confirm to my squad that it's only humans that are doing voices. That's it. And that's the pact that we started when we agreed on when we started, and that's the way we approach it. But like programming, yes, I'm not gonna tell you they don't use it. So sometimes it's complicated to have a couple of stuff, and the AI simplifies it.
How has it been working with all the different people and managing the people and coordinating all of that?
Okay. Just a quick. When I was thinking of what to say when I'm talking to you, I was like, should I tell him about my previous industry? So here's the deal. I switched to game development from engineering. So when I was in engineering, I was in electrical engineering, and it's more infrastructure. So very dry, very dull, very rigid. Zero creative art. There is functional art in engineering, but there's no creative art. So when I switched to this field, the struggle for money is harder because in engineering projects the money is easier to justify. In creative projects you're chasing it's more difficult to secure that funding. However, I have a privilege to work with humans that are brilliant and amazing on so many ways. They love their projects and they love what they do and they work on their crafts not just from our company, from everybody in this industry. They work on their crafts daily and they promote their stuff daily. They know so many skills and they're very friendly and approachable. So, yeah, I would say this is one of the nicest fields that I worked in as opposed to the dryness of the engineering drawings that I used to work in. And I used to be in project management, so I'm familiar with the aspects of managing a project as a construction project. But a creative project is a fun thrill that I'm learning as I keep going through it. But yeah, it's fun as I keep going and I'm learning new stuff.
How are you finding these people? Are they reaching out to you, or are you out finding
It's
the
a
people
mix.
yourself?
It's a mix. Some of them they speak to me. Some of them I develop the confidence and I speak to them. And basically you have to have conversations all the time. And sometimes it's difficult to tell someone, oh, we're bootstrapping, we're pre-rev, would you be willing to work with us? And yeah, most people will say no, I don't want to work with you guys, that's it, I'm doing my own thing, and that's fine. But if you have that mature mindset to speak to people, then yeah, things open up. And I think I started by convincing my family members and then friends, and that's how I got the courage to kind of speak out about it outside of the family group.
Do you get 100 messages a day from composers asking you if you need music?
Not 100, but yeah, I get a few, but not 100. I won't say 100, and I wish I could get all of them. Sometimes it's like me and my brother were just very technical, right? So whenever we see something artistic, we're like, "Oh my god, this is so good." We're not as technical in the art segment, so like it's easy to impress us.
Well, it's just the cliche of all the composers always cold messaging everybody constantly.
Yes, we. I mean, it's what you do. You have to promote yourself. It's the norm. And if they have a craft that they're promoting, it makes me feel happy that there are composers and they're trying. Right. I get excited when I see them.
So I know you're not doing the developing yourself, but do you know what some of the biggest technical challenges have been?
Okay, where should I start? I think the biggest technical challenge that we faced was building episode one while we are still learning Unreal Engine. And I understand that this is sounding funny, but we actually built a game and we're still learning Unreal Engine. I am myself, I'm not a programmer, but my brother is. And he was like, I'm not as experienced in Unreal Engine, so I'm just messing with it. So I told him, finish episode one as one level and put it out because you're not your best self right now. So after a year, now he's telling me, "Oh, look at all this upgrade we have in our capabilities." So when we work on something with older technology and then updating it in newer technology is a pain. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And the second is deciding what kind of game you want to make. Believe it or not, that's a silly thing, but sometimes we argue about it from a perspective of we're all gamers in the team, and then we do our own research and we ask, and then we do a little bit of surveying, and it's still not indicative of what the audience might want. It's very volatile. So we decided we're going to do something that we enjoy, and we've seen a couple of successful examples, and we're going to go for that. And we're going to believe in ourselves.
Nice.
Thank you.
How about the marketing aspect? How do you approach that? And have you learned anything along the way?
Yes, I've learned that you need to pull your team out of their dungeons. As the person who goes out the most, I am forced to, well, not forced, I force the team to go out to marketing events and promote them regularly. So I help with the marketing aspect, and I got to make sure that our marketing squad is always active. I have to set the fire on them. And that is something that people don't pay attention to, is how actively you have to be marketing yourself every day. And another thing, the marketing approach for smaller companies versus big companies seems a little different. For us, we are screaming about the product in the early stages because we are trying to get the community and the traction. For bigger companies, they're trying to be hush hush about the project until it's very ready because they want to hit once, right? And they get the marketing impact. For us, we're building the community step by step, so we have to be as active daily in our marketing as we can, as opposed to bigger teams which they keep it hush and then they give you the update. So for us, every day when we make progress, we're sharing on our social medias, we're letting everybody know, we're very close to the player.
Has your tactics changed over time, or have you found anything that works better than other things?
Um, I would say approaching it as informally as you can helps. Gaming is I come from a very formal industry, and gaming is a very informal industry, game deving. And I would say approaching marketing from an informal perspective really helps. It lets you connect with the audience better. It gives you better engagement. You build your community faster. I feel like being less formal helps. It takes away the wall of formality.
Have you been making any relationships with any streamers?
Yeah, surprisingly, it's very exciting. But I speak Arabic for a first language. All three of us were born in Iraq, and we've never really engaged with the Arabic speaking community of gamers. But recently, I've been mind blown by how active it is and how much sales there are in there. And so I engage my Arabic as much as I can on the side, and like whatever drama we have in the English speaking world transfers to there the same way. So they're talking about everything we're saying, but it's a whole audience that's untapped. And the way you translate, the way you dub your game makes a difference, and how much the audience is giggling about what you're saying about some things. And yeah, I think it has connected me with a couple of streamers from that side of the world, a couple from the English speaking side. And I think it's only because we have now a product that we can share. Before, we don't have much, right? You have a couple of menus, that's it. Now we're getting close to having a test build, so people are more interested and their eyes are more open.
The translation aspect is interesting because you're not the first person to mention that. How one, I can't remember who it was, but I think they said they got someone to translate their game into different languages, and they basically discovered like a whole new market in Japan
Yes.
and all these new markets that they weren't tapping into.
Yes. I mean, uh, here we are already fans. We grew up with Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid, so we're already fans of the Japanese gaming industry. But I noticed that from a marketing perspective, engaging with game devs from Japan has allowed us to connect with the marketing media experts from that side, publishers from that side, because the algorithm starts showing you to people from there if you start engaging with game developers and composers and artists from that side. But yeah, we already applied for a couple of showcases for our upcoming project in Japan. So fingers crossed we get selected for one of those. We are heavily influencing some of our main protagonist skills. He's like a samurai, and he's got a couple of skills that are from Japanese culture. But we don't want to focus too much on that aspect, so we want to keep it fantasy. But yeah, it's actually fun when you engage with other cultures through game development. It's one of the best aspects.
Speaking of publishers, are you just self-publishing, or have you talked to other publishers?
I have spoke to a couple, and what I heard was they want traction and they want a vertical slice. So right now we are discussing amongst ourselves how fast we can get the vertical slice before we can ask a couple of contacts that we have with a couple of publishers whether they would be interested in discussing with us or not. But from what I've heard is it's positive, but you know how it is. They're like a little bit more traction. So we thought we are gonna go at it again with a Discord, with community, and a little bit of a test build, so that we can support our position when we're offering this. Because most of the time they rely on experience, and we are all coming from different industries. We're not previous ex game devs. None of us are. We're doing this for the first time, and we've always played games since childhood, so this is where we want to be.
Does the game have any cheat codes?
Not yet, but now that you mention it, I just realized we should have that. I should have that, yeah.
I think everyone can appreciate a good cheat code.
Yes. Thanks for reminding us.
Is there anything else you wish you knew or advice for other people getting started?
Yes. So talk to others as much as you can, because working on your own will be amazing, but you will get so much unlimited feedback when you talk to others, and band in groups, because championships are won by teams, not by individuals. I mean, some sports you have individuals, but I believe big championships, big trophies, they're won by teams. So start banding together, find humans who share your vision and your creative purpose, and band together and group together, because everybody's fighting in groups. That's my advice to people doing this.
Thanks for that great advice.
No worries.
Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share or plug?
First, just excited to share that we're gonna have the Discord coming soon, so we'll appreciate hosting you on it once we can. Look forward to getting the game set up for the test build, and we have a couple of medieval projects on the go. I think a quick synopsis of a small project. I know the team might not want me to share with you, but because you're an artist, I can't help myself. So we're trying to work with projects that are away from religion or politics for now, because we're a small team and we don't want to deal with a lot of back and forth on these subjects. But we do have a medieval kind of idea that Muhammad has in mind, kind of his bigger idea, and it involves a kind of an Abrahamic religious discussion through a game, sort of like Dark Souls kind of thing, like Assassin's Creed, the first one, right? So it's a third person, and it follows the story of a crusader who goes into the Middle East, and he makes friends with an older Jewish blacksmith and a young Muslim rogue. And through their camp, they fight with all people from their own backgrounds, and they make friends, and they have all kinds of religious discussions, theological discussions. But obviously, as you can imagine, this kind of game would have a lot of people going back and forth on it, so we decided to keep it on the back. But this is the kind of ideas that we have in the future. We're very ambitious, and yeah, just stay tuned for more. That's what I wanted to say.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, Ahmed, thanks for being here. It was
Thank you.
great talking to you, learning about the game and your studio, taking all your advice. And it's obvious you're really passionate about it. And I love your energy. So I wish you guys great success. Can't wait to see the next part of your game and your future games.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, John. You're the best. Thank you. Cheers.
have a good one.
Cheers.